Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Angie Snowball Thompson, and welcome back to Business Without Borders. So we are kicking off a fall edition here, going to some new countries in Asia. Hence one of our little time difference blips, but we're here again. We're going to stay with this time. It helps us meet as many time zones as possible. And of course, the recordings are always available on YouTube and Facebook as well. So I today would first like to start, as I always do. Business Without Borders is about meeting people, real people in real countries. So it's not about reading about culture out of a book, which can sometimes be very stereotypical. And it's also about asking questions that might seem crazy and sometimes a little bit uncomfortable. And that's why I do it. So nothing here is meant to be offensive to anyone. It's just here to have a conversation with my lovely guest to tell us his experience living and working in Hong Kong so that we can all, as a world without borders anymore, do business better with people in Hong Kong. So welcome, Mr. Roger Yim, today from Hong Kong. Thank you so much, Roger, for being here today, for helping me out, spreading the word about Hong Kong. Can you tell me a little bit about you and what you do?
Thank you, Angie. Thank you for invitation for today, and hope we can share a little bit out of my experience living in Hong Kong for half a decade, and then hopefully share to know to you and some of our friends around the globe to know a little bit more about Hong Kong, because I noticed Hong Kong is a really tiny dot in the map. However, I think a lot of people know where, there is a place called Hong Kong, even though you might not know where is it, and you don't know what happens here. For me, I have been staying for Hong Kong for really long enough to share with you some information. However, for my own self, I do jewelry design and production, and we do helping customer from overseas, so that I also always travel to different part of the world and learn from others, like US and some other country. And then definitely we have different culture in Hong Kong, because one thing I want to tell you before that, we were a colonies from British. Start from 18 something already, so it is more than 100 years that we were ruled by the British. However, this is already returned back to the China, our mainland. So actually Hong Kong is a part of China, and but we were ruled by a British for more than 99 years. We were returned in 1997, so it is already 20 something years back to China, our main mother already. Yes.
Yeah, that was my first question, because you said it perfectly. I think we all know, everyone knows Hong Kong. No one in the United States has any idea what it really is. Like, is it a country? Is it a colony? What happens there? Always very confusing. So I love that you put that out there right away.
Right.
Yeah, that's always what a crazy history too. It's so weird to me that things, such dramatic things, are still happening, like in today's day and time, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, you just got returned in 1997. That's crazy to me, right? So,
Yeah, it is already 20 something years.
oh my gosh. So, what kind of languages do you speak there? I think that's another question that a lot of people have, going back and forth. Being a British colony, I know I've not encountered anyone from Hong Kong that doesn't have very good English, but it's not your main language.
Right. Actually, our main language is Cantonese. It is one of dialect in China. I mean, in the Chinese, we speak Cantonese. However, because we were ruled by, as a colony, so we learn English, start from our primary school or even kindergarten. So most of the people in Hong Kong, they can also speak English. However, I would say, because we actually can speak mostly three languages with two writing languages. First, we can speak Cantonese. This is our mother tongue, I would say, in Hong Kong. And second, we can say we can speak a Mandarin, because Mandarin is the mother language from China. So we also learn it, especially while after we return it back to the mainland, so that we have a lot of languages learning, and some other relationships with China mainland, so that we also need to incorporate a little bit more on our Mandarin. However, English is also one of the languages that we use. And if you notice, because there are quite a lot of foreigners in Hong Kong, and this is why we also need to learn English in order to communicate.
Interesting. And you mentioned a lot of foreigners. There's a lot of rich people in Hong Kong as well. That was one of the
Right.
things I found when I was researching. I was like, holy crap. In 2020, Global Billionaires list Hong Kong ranked 7th. That's a very relatively small place to have most of the world's billionaires hanging out. So
Yes.
that's really, really wild, I thought.
And out of my background, you can see, this is the Victoria Harbour, one of the famous place in Hong Kong. And this is a really, really big harbor, so that a lot of cruises go around this harbor. But actually this is one of our famous place in here, because the scenery, and you can see a lot of tall buildings, and actually we have tall buildings both sides. Between is the harbor. However, we have tall buildings from both sides. One side we call Hong Kong Island. So this is an island surrounding by 4 areas of water, but we call Hong Kong Island. However, the other part is the Kowloon Peninsula. So one side is opposite to the Hong Kong Island. In between is the Victoria Harbour, and then at the back, we have a lot of lands, until that we can go to the border with the China mainland.
And is this where the famous ferry? You have something called the Star Ferry. Is that where that
yes,
comes
you're
in?
right. You're right. Yes.
Okay.
The Star Ferry is really, really famous and very long enough, as what you're showing. It is starting from 1880. Yes.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. Well, and I got to tell you, I really thought it might look cooler than it did. It really just looks like a boat, unless I have the wrong picture. Is that it?
Let me see. It is looking. Oh yes, this is correct. This is 100% correct. This is the Star Ferry that we used to use it. And you know what? This is one of the main transportation means long ago, before we have the tunnel going under the sea. So as what I mentioned, between the Hong Kong Island and the Kowloon Peninsula, before we only use this kind of boat to travel around. However, of course, it is start from 1972. I think we built up the underground the tunnel, and this is the cross border. I mean, not cross border, crossing the sea, crossing the ocean tunnel. So starting from that, we can drive through the tunnel, from one side to the other side.
I didn't know you had a tunnel. Something else I didn't know. I mean, I just looked some of this stuff up. Are there 263 islands technically in Hong Kong? I mean, how does that work? That's a ton of little islands.
There's a little islands, we have surrounding the 2 main part. The main part is the Hong Kong Island and the Kowloon Peninsula.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then all the billionaires come and buy a little island. Is that what they buy their own little?
Not really. Actually, they cannot. Be honest.
Okay, good.
Yes. However, but they do build up. As you can see, they do build up quite a lot of tall, sky high buildings, and of course they can buy the land. But I'm not too sure whether they might not be able to buy the island, but they can buy the land. So that they can build up a tall building over there, so that and this is one of the reason why they become a billionaire out of the world, because they building tall up high building, and then and even though on one hand I mean this kind of building is one thing that they raise a lot of money, and second is the finance. They do quite a lot of investment, those kind of thing. And I think this is two things that because why Hong Kong becomes a really famous place for that.
Oh, very cool. So we're going to take a second to say hi to a few people. Some of our friends are here. Sure. Roger is actually very famous in my world of BNI because he makes the BNI diamond pin. And these are a lot of our friends from BNI have joined us today on the show. There's Diana of Argentina. Hi, Diana. And Kimberly from Vietnam. Diana's from Lithuania. Kimberly's ready to travel, Roger, so watch out. She's coming your way.
Okay. See you there.
She's ready. And then we've got our magician buddy, Scott from Scotland. Scotland's magician. Good afternoon, Scott. Good to see you. And the lovely Patricia Cardosa from America. She's from Portugal, and she's marketing. So a lot of fun people on the call with us today. And Facebook people, I can't always see you, so welcome all the Facebook people as well. Thanks for joining us. Roger's given us lots of good stuff here. He's going through my questions really fast. He's well prepared. So, but we were just talking about all these little islands and the ferry and the two main islands of Hong Kong, and it kind of brings up a major topic today is all this water. They're in typhoon season right now. And I actually talked to him this morning and said, hey, Roger, are you okay? I saw there's a typhoon. Are we going to be able to do this today? You've got a big typhoon.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, tell us about these. I mean, because the schools are closed, government offices are closed, the market is on halt right now. Tell us what it's like with these typhoons. Are they often? And it seems like you're well prepared for them, though. I talked to Angie Ho last night, too. She didn't seem, I was terrified. She said, it's a typhoon 8. I said, oh my gosh, hang up the phone, take cover. She says, oh, it's okay. I'm just watching the news. So tell me more about your typhoon situation there.
Right. Actually, be honest, if I make it a little bit more precise, normally from June to September is the most typhoon month that we'll encounter. However, actually, we separate into number 1 to number 10. But in the short arrangement, they have changed it a little bit. Now we have only number 1 typhoon. This is just a signal that telling you, oh, there's a typhoon. Not really dangerous. However, then it will come to typhoon number 3. That means, there will be chances to going a little bit more up high. And then until then, we have go up to number 8 and number 9 and number 10. So number 10 is the strongest and the most dangerous one that we can encounter. However, in October, normally we will not have typhoon number 8, but just that might be the weather situation. We have the typhoon number 8 for 2 times in the only in 4 days. So it is, even though we're well prepared, however, it is a little bit of the damage on some buildings or so. But, because of the observatory, they already announced it before that so that, people can be prepared. They can, go back home. They can, stay covered, those kind of things. So we are okay. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, that was so crazy. I was like, oh, my gosh, that's wild to think of.
But if you can see the news, there are some flooding, those kind of things will happen, starting from typhoon number 8, 9, and 10.
Okay, really interesting stuff. And we, which by the way, I would love to come visit you, but I don't think it's going to be like June through September. I think I'll wait till December.
But not every day, don't worry.
I was seriously having a panic attack for her. I was like, you should not be sitting here. Get off the phone. Go. It's pretty funny. All right. Oh, we got another loyal follower. Linda Weil is back. She's from my BNI, another BNI person. Lots of BNI here today. Shows you how strong this organization is. And Roger's actually director consultant for BNI in Hong Kong. So if you're looking for connections in Hong Kong, I also am handing you one of the most well-connected people you'll ever meet in Hong Kong. So, and we do have a question, Roger, from someone watching, Ed M. Once again, another BNI guy. He says, can you comment on China's investment in Africa, Belt and Road Initiative? That means nothing to me, so I hope it means something to you. You look like you're ready to.
I think this is a really, really good question, Ed, because I think we are building the One Belt, One Road, all around through Asia, and then go to Europe, those kind of countries, because for the past 10 to 15 years, we have been building quite a really, really good railway system. We call high-speed train system. And nowadays is already, I think, already covered most of the places and areas and cities in China. And even though we are one of the places that we are already connected with the high-speed train, so we can see this is a really, really effective way for transportation. Out of the plane. So there is another way that we can use more safe and faster, and even we don't have to wait for 2 hours before boarding, and then sometimes there is control on the air, and then it takes quite a lot of time for the transport before and after. So what we say is because of the high-speed train railway system, it helps us quite a lot. Let me give you an example. Before, from Hong Kong, we need to go to Guangzhou. Guangzhou is another province in China. It is a really also a really famous place. However, before, when we take the normal train, it takes around 3 hours or so.
Okay.
So, but nowadays, when we take the high-speed train from Hong Kong to there, it's less than 1 hour. So you can imagine it is only 50 something minutes. So you can imagine how fast can be from one place to the other place. And, and then we do not need to go to boarding before 2 hours. We can use Wi-Fi on the train. We can walk around, we can eat, we can, do our work. I think this is one of the best thing that while we are building that the belt and One Belt and One Road arrangement now.
Wow, that is a very, very fast train.
Yes, I would say
Oh my
so.
gosh.
And because in average, it can go up to 300 kilometers per hour.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's something the United States is just love you Americans, but we are absolutely terrible at any type of public transportation. But our train system is just really sad. Like we have, and thinking of it, what better place to do it? We're huge. It takes us forever to get, you said 3 hours, China too, obviously you're huge, but 3 hours to go from that. It would take me 24 hours driving to get to the West Coast. Time to put in a good train. Time to think about some trains. So awesome. Thanks, Ed, for that great question too. And another thing I was going to ask you, because that was a great lead into the business. So earlier when we came out, I said, everybody's heard of Hong Kong. Everybody knows it's a city with great skyscrapers and all these things. And also just extremely well known for business. Has that increased through the pandemic? Has it decreased? Has it changed business in Hong Kong for you?
For myself or for the whole Hong Kong you're talking about?
Let's say both. Let's say both. I'm curious for both.
So let me tell you a little bit about the whole Hong Kong. Be honest, we are struggle in some time. At the beginning of the pandemic, because even though we do not have a lockdown, however, since Hong Kong, as I mentioned, we are only a small place. What we are counting on is the travel industry, because we have a lot of foreigners and travelers to come to Hong Kong, whatever they are on pleasure or they are on business. So travel is one of our main getting from all of that. And second, because a lot of places that we do quite a lot of exhibition in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a really, really good hub, I would say, from some other Asian country and also from all other countries, because Hong Kong is, I would say, this is the gate of China. So a lot of businessmen, when they want to do business in China, first they will come to Hong Kong first, because we have some advantages, I would say, because we are a tax-free port. So
Okay.
we do not have the tax that coming when you coming in, then we don't have the duty tax, something like that, not like other countries. However, but of course we and also we do not have sales tax in Hong Kong. So when we
Oh,
buy food or buy anything, we do not have VAT or sales tax,
oh,
for
wow.
that. So this is one of the things that why people want to come to Hong Kong. So whatever they want to have a pleasure, they can come to buy anything that without tax. So I think this is already 10, 15 or 20% from different countries when you go over with tax, when you buy things. So I think this is one of the things that we are dropping quite a lot for the past year. Since the border is still not open yet. So on this, we are a little bit struggled. This is true. However, I think Hong Kong people is really creative, and we change fast. So just like today, we can meet each other on this platform.
Right.
But before that, I am sure there's quite a lot of software on all kind of things that we can still meet, but we are not used to it. However, starting from last year, because of pandemic, everything is closed. So we can still using like Zoom or this platform to meet each other, and this is why I meet you, Angie.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think this is really impressive for me, and this is why I'm saying Hong Kong people adopt this. And as what you mentioned, because we are in BNI, and let me tell you this: Hong Kong is the first place to use Zoom for BNI meetings out
Oh,
of
really?
the 74 countries. And while we have been using 1 month, then we are used to it. And then I noticed, the headquarter asked us how we managed to use the Zoom for our meeting. So I think this is one of the best thing that, as a Hong Kong people, that, we change fast and then we think fast also.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that's made all the difference in this pandemic. Who survived and who didn't? Who thrived, who survived, and who didn't do anything has
You're
been
right.
your ability to adjust and flip. So, two questions that brought up to me is the ability, like you said, people are using Zoom more now. It's more comfortable. Always was there. I taught English on Skype years ago. Like I started that 10 years ago. But now all of a sudden it's popular. Like, oh, can you teach me English? Yes, I could have 10 years ago too, but we can still do it now. So,
Right.
but it's something that everybody's accepting now, which makes it a lot more easy to do business other places. How one of the challenges I have found, and I'm curious if you see this too, is economy. So what is cheap in the United States is expensive in Peru. What is cheap in China, it might be expensive somewhere else. How do you feel like Hong Kong
Hmm.
places in the world economy? Because there's a lot of billionaires there. Is your cost of living high because of that, or what would you say?
Yes, this is 100% true. Uh, everything here, I would say, except housing, it is expensive. Let me give you an example. I still remember when I traveled to US used to when we buy one pen, let's say $1. But in Hong Kong, we can also buy it in $1 Hong Kong. This is about 7 times different.
Oh,
So,
so
so, and let me give you another example. Let's say McDonald's. That how when you buy a McDonald's, let's say a hamburger, how much
Mhm.
do you pay now?
$1, $2. We have
Okay,
specials all the time.
okay, let's say 150. We make it in
Okay.
half. In
Okay.
Hong Kong, it's only $1 or less than that in some time. So so that while I travel to other places, I always count. When I go to McDonald's, I always see how much difference between Hong Kong and other countries.
You know what? That's a good way to do it because talk about an international standard. McDonald's has it, That's pretty
Yes,
wild. Oh,
yes,
interesting. So,
and this is in somehow I think why Hong Kong is one of the exporting port out of other country, because we do export quite a lot of things, to other countries. But we are not a manufacturer in Hong Kong now. 30, 40 years ago, yes, we are a manufacturing place. However, because of the land and the workmanship, getting higher, so that most of the factory goes back to the mainland China, because the land and workers are cheaper, so that we can still maintain the competitive price to other places. So we produce in China mainland, and then we transport to Hong Kong, and then we export to other country. And this is why the price making quite a lot of difference. And as what I mentioned, from Hong Kong to other places, we do not have tax. We do not have export tax, import tax like this. So
yeah, so it
it
makes
is
it a
also
popular harbor. I
yes, yes,
actually saw that the meaning of Hong Kong is fragrant harbor in
you're
Chinese. Is
right.
that true?
Yes,
Yeah.
because a long time ago we do build like a kind of things that when we burn it, this is normally we burn the stick, it is it will comes out with fragrance. And for those kind of stick, normally we will give it to our past family members.
Oh,
But
okay.
that kind of stick, when you burn it, then it will have quite a nice fragrance. And this is why Hong Kong at that time, more than 100 years ago, we make that quite a lot, and this is why we have that name.
Okay. Oh, that's so fun. I love learning things like that. That's my favorite.
Yes.
So, real quick, we'll say hi to a few other. Oh, here we go. I clicked on Ed accident, but now we got Ed's comment. The Big Mac Index does exist. Even The Economist magazine talks about the Big Mac Index. So there you go, Roger.
Right.
You're onto something. And Ravana just joined us. Hi, Ravana. Good to see you again. Kimberly is really ready to come see you. Now she wants to go shopping. And then
Yes,
we
come to shopping. You know what happened on one street, we call Canton Row and Nathan Row. These two rows has the most high end and top branded company are there, like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Tiffany, Cartier, those kind of things. However, before the pandemic, they were crowded. They were lined up in front of their doors.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That is so funny to think. The world's changed so much. Linda was
Yes.
just saying too how beautiful it is, and this is very easy to do business with. So I'm glad she brought that up too. It's not just Roger and I saying all these great things about Hong Kong. Linda's from the States, but she traveled and worked internationally for, gosh, over 30 years, even though she only looks like she's 30. So says it's been several years since I've been there, but I used to travel there yearly for many years on business, and the people are extremely kind and helpful, and the culture is wonderful. I would second
Thank you,
that
Linda.
too. Yeah, I love China. I love the people that I've met in China, but I feel like the people I've met from Hong Kong are much more comfortable to work with, much less of a wall between because our cultures are very, very different. Like a Chinese culture, any Asian culture is very different from my American culture, and sometimes it's very awkward to be in those things. And I have not felt that way with the people I've met from Hong Kong. Very friendly, very open, and sees all the differences as an excitement versus something to be nervous about. So I think that's a good point. And she says the silks are beautiful. She has several suits and scarves from prior visits. So she's going to go over and go shopping with Kimberly.
Yes, come on.
All right. Very cool. So there were just, I was going to show a few pictures here and see if you had anything else that you want to share, because I think everybody loves the pictures, right? So we have some in. I'm not even sure what this is. Is this similar to what's behind you? Am I looking at the middle of it?
Right. This is the Victoria Harbor that I'm talking about, and this shoot taking at the peak. One of the nice place in Hong Kong. So when you all come to Hong Kong, you do go to Angie, maybe you can search the peak, some of the photo from the peak. Then I think this is one of the place that I highly recommend everyone when you come. And out of this picture, you can see not only the Victoria Harbor, but between the two sides, there are quite a lot of tall buildings. And at night, everyone is turning on the light. This is magnificent. So and not even only in the daytime, but at nighttime, you can see really, really different things.
Oh wow! Now this little thing here. Well, I have to share again. Sorry. You said something about the peak. Is this thing? What is that thing? Is that going to the peak?
Oh yes, this is the tram going to the peak. You're right.
Okay. I saw it going up, so I thought, oh, maybe that's
You're
it.
Right. This is a nice picture, and this is also a mistake when you go to the peak. You will see you have to take this tram to go to the peak. A mistake.
Oh. Okay. Let's see. Here are some other pictures I found. I just googled the peak, so there's a few. Well, there's one at night. That's really cool.
Yes.
So, yeah, lots of cool pictures here. And then there was one other thing, and I'm just dying to ask you how big this thing actually is. So let me go back here. One last picture. It's the big Buddha. How big is that Buddha?
Wow.
Ginormous. Look at
you see the people over there.
Yeah. I mean, is that a real, sometimes perspective like messes with it, or is that guy really that big?
I think it is, I don't remember quite well, but at least 30 meters to 50 meters tall. So you can imagine maybe 20 floors a building around there.
Oh my gosh. So that is a big Buddha.
Yes. And also you can go inside and you can walk up to the top.
No way. Would you get the look out of his eyes, or what happens when you go to the top?
That actually is a museum inside.
Oh,
so you can see quite a lot of interesting Buddhist information and items.
Oh, cool. So speaking of religion, because nobody's allowed to talk about it, but we talk about it here. That's why I do it. So religion-wise, what is a popular religion in Hong Kong? Or there's so many, it seems like very international, lots of foreigners. Is it just, kind of everywhere? Or do you have a predominant religion?
If you ask me, I think there is no control on our religion's arrangement. However, the majority, I would say, Buddhist and Catholic, and also about this kind, and Christian. These are the most popular religions, I would say, in Hong Kong.
Okay, cool. Interesting to know. It's crazy too. I studied world religions. I went to a Catholic school, so they made you study lots of religions, which I don't think was a great idea because I was no longer Catholic. But it's really interesting to see how close so many religions are. They just have different names a lot of
Oh
times,
yeah.
right? But the concepts are so much the same. So I always think it's interesting how much controversy religion causes when at the heart of it, I'm like, you guys are really saying the same thing, just different names.
And as you showed the big Buddha, this is also another place that must go when you come to Hong Kong.
Okay, so shopping, go see the big Buddha, go to the
Yes,
peak.
and yes, you're right. And the Victoria Harbour, taking the Star Ferry.
Oh yeah, got to get on the boat, the Star Ferry.
Yes.
And then we have one more question, business related, economic. It says, how do we say that? That's the Chinese
Yen.
currency, right? It is yen.
Yes.
Okay. So does the yen and the Hong Kong dollar trade even?
Actually, we do have different rate. Say nowadays, maybe 20% difference. Hong Kong dollar is 20% cheaper than the yen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So and when we are talking about more business, as what I mentioned, 30, 40 years ago, we moved all the factory back to China mainland because it is cheaper in whatever way. However, because China in these 30, 40 years, especially for the past 15 years, because the speed train, high speed train arrangement, there are a lot of things going another standard. So a lot of places, a lot of manufacturing prices is a little bit getting higher. I mean, compared to 30, 40 years ago. So, but on the other side, I mean, on the good side is, there will be a little bit more structure and more, the standard will be, keeping a little bit more higher, compared to 30, 40 years ago. So, there it is, good on bad. However, for the pricing is yes, nowadays yen is getting a little bit more expensive than before.
Okay. I didn't even know to ask that. Hey, thanks, Ed. Good
Yeah,
question.
and let me share with you one more thing about the dollar. From Hong Kong, actually, I don't know when we started it, but we have the relationship with the U.S. dollar. Hong Kong dollar, the maximum trade with $1 is 7.85. Let's say $1, the maximum can reach will be 7.85 Hong Kong dollar. But then the minimum will be 7.7 or something. So this is a coherent arrangement with the Hong Kong dollar and US dollar.
Okay.
And this is only the specialties. I think while when we are doing business, this is a little bit more helping on one hand.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's the kind of stuff I like to think about too, because I don't think people really go through the concept of these details of currency and culture and how that all is going to translate. Because like me, it's actually a good thing as an English teacher to have your borders open. You can help more people. But at the same time, there are a lot of complications to that, including economically where everyone stands and how it all converts and all those types of things. So I like having those discussions. Ed brought up this. So Japanese currency is yen, correct?
Yes.
Y-E-N. And the Chinese currency is Y-U-A-N, but also said the same. That sounds the same to me. Does it sound different to you?
The same.
Okay.
However, we use the symbol as RMB, renminbi.
Oh, okay.
So RMB may be easier for all of us to differentiate the Chinese yen compared to the yen in Japanese.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I just wanted to clarify because when I asked you to pronounce that, I had the same question for a second. So just to clarify, what we did talk about was the difference between the Chinese yuan, not the Japanese yen.
Yes,
so
you're
sounds
correct.
very much the same to an American ear, but we did talk about the Chinese yen to the Hong Kong currency, to the Hong Kong dollar.
Yeah, so most of the people now, they will also say renminbi. This is translated from the Chinese. Most of the people also know the RMB is equal to the yuan in Chinese currency.
Okay, that's good to know. You know what? I've heard that before, RMB, and I didn't know what it meant. Although sometimes you hear so many acronyms. See, this is your communication coach reminding you, public service announcement, don't use acronyms. People get confused.
Yes, yes.
So I have heard that before. And Hiroshi from Japan says, oh, very similar. So yeah, very similar. Good to see you, Hiroshi. Okay, awesome. So you gave us so much to think about, Roger. Really, really happy to have you. Thank you for all of your time. And I'd like to wrap up by asking you, just in general, as people want to work with Hong Kong, what is some advice you might give us about your culture? Is there anything that we need to know about working with people in Hong Kong? Sometimes we run into like a German culture can often be very direct. And sometimes they don't work very well with an American culture because Americans are like, oh, let's hang out, let's talk, let's take some time. And Germans are like, no, this is business. Let's get it done. We'll talk later. So culturally, is there any advice that you would give us about working in Hong Kong?
Be honest to say, because we were wounded by the British, and we were born in the blood with Chinese. So actually, we have two cultures. We have the Chinese culture and we have the Western culture. So we can easily cooperate with other people from other part of the world. We are not just like someone that they have the true blood that they would just go for whatever only in one way. But because this is why I think Hong Kong people are flexible, because we can speak different languages and we learn the Chinese culture and the Western culture together, while we were born up. So I think this is one of the best thing that if you want to do business with the Hong Kong people, we are easy and we are easy to cooperate. And second, because we can speak English and also the what we call is the Mandarin, so that a lot of people want to do business because they want to buy things cheaper from their own country. I mean, between their own country. So Hong Kong, we can have easily access to the China mainland factories. And we do have really, really good connection. So this is why we can talk to the factory with our own Mandarin language. And then we can talk to the customer or the friends from other countries with English, so that the communication, I think this is one of our competitive part, that we can do really, really good business with different people from other part of the world. And of course, and the best thing is we can get really, really good price on the products, so that we can be a really, really good connection in between Hong Kong, China, and other places in the world. And nowadays, as what we mentioned about BNI, China also has at least 4,000 something members in China mainland already. So Hong Kong, only a place, a small place, we also have 4,000 members. So that combined, we have more than 8,000 members around Hong Kong and China mainland. So if you want to do business, it is really, really good to talk to us, that we can help you to connect with Hong Kong members and the China team members. And
Wow.
we do have really good connection because they are also in our same, under the same national director.
Oh, so I didn't know that. So China and Hong Kong are under the same national director?
You're right.
Oh, that's really cool too. So what I heard there, ladies and gentlemen, is Hong Kong is the door to China. If you want to work in China, because I hear this, so many people are interested in working with China but don't know where to start. Sounds to me like Hong Kong is a wonderful way to start because you will not have as much of a language barrier. I've never met someone from Hong Kong that didn't have excellent English skills. And when I say that, I'm not talking about grammar. I'm talking about the cultural communication. They're really able to almost like a native speaker. So the language is not an issue. And then also to understand the culture of China, which is such a different culture for us. So what a wonderful, wonderful resource for anyone that's interested in working in China. And Roger, of course, as I mentioned before, is a super connector, master connector. So he would be able to hook you up with anyone that you are interested in meeting if you are interested in working in Hong Kong. And for all of the BNI members that joined us today, don't forget that Roger is the king of the diamond pin. So check him out on Facebook and LinkedIn. And Roger, I just want to thank you again for being here today. Is there any closing comments you would like to add? Anything that I missed?
So first of all, I would like to say thank you again for the opportunities, Angie. It is really, really nice to talk to you and share with some of my experience in Hong Kong and my knowledge in Hong Kong, and to promote Hong Kong. Last but not least, I would like to say Hong Kong is also one of the places that most of the country, when you come, you do not have visa. You do not need to apply a visa. So it is a little bit more convenience to you to do, to go back and forth and do business here. To compare, even though, let's say like in China, you do have to apply a visa. So, but I would say most of the country. So this is another one of the advantages that this is why we are a tour harbor. We accept, a lot of people, a lot of foreigners to come to Hong Kong to visit, and also let's say just like this, when you spend $1 in Hong Kong, it is already around $8 8 Hong Kong dollar. So imagine how much you when you bring, let's say, $1,000 to come, then you are just like a queen already. You can buy a lot of things. As what I mentioned, buying things, you do not have tax. You and the things are, I will consider cheap, compared to the Big Mac index. And even though if you don't buy a flat here, then it is okay.
Okay, yeah, it's still really good for us to come there. Now, Kimberly
also
mentioned. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, one of the things that I would say, not only buying, shopping, however, the food is, I would say, one of the best place that I have ever been. I've been traveling to many places around the world. However, you can have in one stop, you can eat all the places food, only in Hong Kong, and they do really, really good. So, not only the shopping, not only the food, but the scenery. Even though a small place, I would suggest you come to the Victoria Harbour, the Big Buddha, and the Peak. That you will really, really do not forget.
Oh, wow. So if all else fails, Roger, you're going to make a wonderful minister of tourism for Hong Kong, because I am ready. I'm ready to come. I can't believe we didn't talk about food. That's usually like my number one question. Someone always brings up food or wine. I didn't do that this time. So awesome food. Now, Kimberly just mentioned she's in Vietnam, and she said it's sometimes difficult for her to get a visa to Hong Kong. Is it different for countries that are closer to you to come to Hong Kong?
Be honest, I don't have the precise answer for this. I don't know which countries is easier or harder. But I noticed, most of the country, a lot of country, they do not have, the visa problem. They do not need to apply visa to come to Hong Kong. But compared to mainland China, you do have to apply whatever country you are from, you do have to apply a visa. So it depends. But I'm not too sure whether Kimberly said, Vietnam is one of the place or country that have the hard time for that. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I don't know.
No. Well, like I said, you're not the minister of tourism yet, so we don't expect you to have every answer. But
yeah. But last thing I just want to say, besides of shopping, eating, and traveling, Hong Kong is a really, really good place to do business. Not only we are tax-free, we don't have import and export tax. And also we can have the language advantages. And third is we can have really, really good resources to the mainland China, so that we can have really good source in lower price for customers. So this is why I would say Hong Kong is also one of the best place that can do business with, whatever is trading or manufacturing or different part.
Yeah, really an amazing piece. And I learned, as I always do, I learned even more about Hong Kong today. So thank you for that. But as before, I really, it's a wonderful place that was somewhat mystical, right? Like, are you a colony? Are you a country? Everybody's heard of Hong Kong, but what's really happening there? And how do I get in? Who do I talk to? So thanks, Roger, for unraveling all of that for us. And if you guys again want to make any connections in Hong Kong, as I mentioned, he's a big guy over there in BNI, so he'll be able to connect you to lots of really interesting people and a lot of different things I've noticed there. So for any like the Americans that are watching, there's a lot of things in Hong Kong that are so interesting that we don't consider necessarily business, but I've seen the remarkable results. Things like just different culturally, the feng shui. I think it's your friend Ellen that has the jewelry that you can, that jewelry party thing, which is so cool. So if you guys are interested in learning some more of it from my perspective as well, please reach out to me, because I've really had a whole new world open to me through Roger and some other people in Hong Kong. So thank you again, Roger. It has been wonderful. I can't thank you enough for your time and bringing your energy and knowledge to us. So thank you very much. And thank you everyone
Angie,
for watching and joining us. And I hope that you'll be able to join us next week, same time, same place. And we're going to Taiwan, so not very far away at all. And we'll have Yihao Chen and Sabrina Chung with us next week. So please join us next week. And thank you as always for being here. Have a wonderful week wherever you are. Thanks, Roger.
bye everyone. Thank you,
Bye.
Angie. See you soon. Bye.